Yes, welcome back. Oh my gosh. So we have a visitor with us. Actually, I wouldn't really call him a visitor.
Special, very special potential guest.
Matt is actually home, and I don't normally record these when he's home, but he's off work today. So if he pops in, guys, because we are today talking about our wedding stories.
Yeah.
Also, spoiler alert, mine's kind of traumatic. But before we get into that, how are you? Like, what's going on in the Hannah world?
I'm good. Honestly, Hannah World has been very quiet lately, which I'm just like living for. Like when you share your life so much on social media, you like love these moments where you're just kind of like quiet and like I've just been reading a lot and spending a lot of time on the daybed and with the dogs and a lot of time with the little girls across the street who are so cute. So like backstory, this family moved in a little bit earlier this year across the street and she has two girls and they're 4 and 2 and they're like the cutest little girls ever. And so whenever I see them out there, like I bring the dogs over so they can play. And yesterday I went over and the 2-year-old who is usually kind of quiet, she was like, Hannah! And she like ran towards me and they were both in like the best mood and they were just like chasing the dogs around and like they're just my favorite family ever. So I'm like very grateful that they live across the street and they can bring me so much joy.
That's
So
so
it's really
cute.
just me chasing all the neighborhood kids around.
That's so wholesome.
So wholesome. When a child says your name and is like so excited to see you, like there is nothing better in the world.
Oh my gosh. My friend told me yesterday that his little girl said that she missed me. And
Oh,
I was like, no, she didn't. No, she
like out of the blue.
yeah.
Oh my God, my heart. I know our neighbor was telling them like when we were going away for like a week, when I was going to London, she told them, she was like, oh, Hannah's going to London for a week. And they were like, no. And she was like, she'll be back. Like, it'll just a week.
They were like, a week is forever.
I was like, don't worry, girls. I'll be back with gifts. What's new with you?
So I've been training Matt up. I have been more incorporating Matt in like the behind the scenes of like what goes on in influencer land because he normally was very hands off, didn't know like anything, which I will say I was very apprehensive about it cuz it's like do you want to because whenever you're married, it's like that could maybe be a bad thing or it could be a good thing. And honestly, I think it's been a really good thing because now I feel like he almost like has a newfound respect for me and is like, oh, wow, you're
Yeah.
doing like a lot. And like, oh, okay, this is like legit. I don't know. And he knows it's legit. Like he knows I make my own money and like all the things like that. But I don't know. I do think that it's almost given him this different like look at me from now the fact that he's like really involved. Like I've taught him how to like post on LTK. Now he's handling like that kind of thing and just a lot of other things like with my emails and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
it's hard work behind the scenes. Like nobody knows unless you actually do the job how much work goes into being an influencer, which is why like my life's so quiet right now because I'm slacking on all that. So I need a mat.
no, no, it's okay because he doesn't really know exactly what's going on, but he's just like, okay, so what should we be doing? And I'm like, you know,
That's so clutch. Good job, Matt.
yeah, he's doing a good job. He is. The only thing is his editing skills, that just takes practice. So
He'll get
he
there.
he's not bad at it at all. He's actually really good as long as there's no talking in the videos. You
Yeah.
know?
You should have him start doing all your voiceovers too.
Yeah. Oh, he's so good at voiceover.
He's so good at voiceovers.
It's because he's funny. I wish I was again, it goes back to the funny thing, like,
You're funny.
thank you. But he's like really funny,
He is really funny.
Oh, and my mother-in-law is coming in like 2 days.
Oh
So
yeah.
also my house, like this is a shameful thing, but I'm gonna admit it to you guys. is I've never fully unpacked here. I mostly have, but there's some like clothes that like they just don't fit. So I had to order another clothing rack.
Oh, girl. Didn't you just get rid of one?
No, I kept it. So right
Oh.
now I'm at like one, two, three. I just ordered a fourth clothing rack. And
Do you not have closets?
yes, this place has two closets.
No, that's fair. I literally had to buy a bigger house just to fit all my clothes.
It's the influencer life where you get sent stuff all the time.
It's hard. I have a constant PR drawer that like even when I'll like do a giveaway or get rid of a bunch of stuff, it just fills up so fast.
Mhm.
And
That's why when I meet new friends, a good way to like win people over is like, "Oh, you want some PR?"
yeah, visit the PR drawer. I love having friends come over and I'm like, I have a drawer for you.
Yeah.
It's
I ordered some like hangers, some like Amazon stuff that like I needed for organizational things to be like truly put together because I can't
mhm.
hide, she's coming and I can't hide
Yeah.
it. Also, I'm going to the Hamptons.
Tell us more. So you decided to go.
Yeah, I decided to go to Montauk. I was getting too much FOMO seeing like Alex Earl and everyone there. So I decided to go. Booked a hotel. Me and my mother-in-law are going. We always typically do a trip whenever she comes into town,
That's
like
so cute. No,
just
Matt?
no Matt, he has to work. So
Boo.
yeah, so because he has to work, her and I always end up on a trip, just us. Like happens every single time. And I've traveled a lot, just her and I together over the years. And
That's
so,
so cute. I love
yeah,
that.
it's
Tori
fun.
and Janice forever.
Yeah. If you scroll back on my Instagram, on my TikTok, the very first videos I ever went like viral for are Janice videos
Oh, I'm
where
not surprised.
no, she's hilarious. Maybe that's where Matt gets it from, but like not in a meaning to be funny way. Like
Yeah.
and also she's kind of like, outspoken and like doesn't mean to be rude, but kind of is sometimes. And some people either jive with it and think it's funny, or are very offended. And I understand both.
Hmm.
But it makes for a very interesting ride.
I bet.
But so we are staying in the Hamptons. Her and I are doing a Hamptons trip because we're going to New York when she comes, which I'm excited that Matt gets to
Oh.
go to New York with his mom. Like that's
Yeah,
just a
that's nice.
fun thing. And then after when he comes home, her and I are taking a train to the Hamptons, and then we're gonna be in the Hamptons, and then we're flying back. But she doesn't know we're flying. I'm thinking of not telling her until we just like take because there's a train that we take to the airport. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
thinking and I'm gonna lead her. That's like how it goes on these trips. So I'm thinking, what if I just like lead her to
Lead her
the
to the airport. Ah, don't tell her. See how it goes. If anything, we'll have a story for the pod.
yeah. But I'm very excited. I have a list. I'm gonna go to Round Swamp Farms, that fancy grocery
Oh
store.
my god. So excited to hear about
I'm gonna
this.
go to Left Hand Coffee.
I don't know any of these places, but I like trust you.
The the only thing I'm not gonna do is
Really
I don't
excited.
think I'm gonna go to Surf Lodge because that's like I'm not a clubber or bounce, and those are like the club, and I'm with my
Oh,
mother-in-law,
gotcha. I
and
can't
even
believe they have clubs in the Hamptons.
yeah, and they're so popular, like ever.
Wow.
But even if I wasn't with my mother-in-law, I don't think I would go to the
Yeah.
club.
I'm not a club girl either.
Me neither. Maybe when I was like 18, you know,
Yeah.
before I was even legally allowed to get
I
in.
know, exactly. The club was so much more fun when it wasn't legal.
Yeah. We have our wedding stories.
And I feel like they're both very dramatic.
Yeah.
So they're going to be very interesting. Who should go
Yeah.
first?
You should go first, I feel like, because yours is nicer than mine.
Okay, I'll go first. Also, my 3-year anniversary is coming up, and I am in disbelief because in my mind, that wedding was like 6 months ago. So I don't know how 3 months have passed.
3 months, 3 years.
I mean, 3 years? 3 years. That's insane. Yeah, John and I will have known each other a decade next February, which is
That's crazy.
bananas. Okay, so where do I even start? So we got engaged October 2019. And everyone was like, oh my God, 2020 wedding, 2020 wedding. You know, nobody knew what was around the corner. But John and I were like, no, we want more time. Like we're thinking 2021. So we luckily planned our wedding for 2021. If you don't know this about me, I am something happens to me and I have to just plan everything. So like before we even left Greece, which is where we got engaged, I'd had a full guest list. Um, I'd had like venues to go scout. Like John and I got in like a little fight about it because he was like, "Can you just enjoy like being newly engaged?" And I was like, "This is how I'm enjoying it." Um,
This is me enjoying it
I know. Like
to
I
the
was like,
max.
I'm having so much fun. Like I've been waiting for this. Because we've been together like 5 years before we got engaged. So I was like, you took your sweet time. Okay, now I get to do this at my pace. So we basically booked our venue, our date, obviously. Had like our full guest list. I picked all my bridesmaids, he picked all his groomsmen, and we got our wedding coordinator, like all before the end of 2019. So we go into 2020. Obviously COVID hits and none of us like thought anything about it. Like we were like, oh, this will be like a 2 week shindig. Like we'll stay home. Like it's not going to affect our wedding, which is in a year in May of 2021. But it did, obviously. So we ended up like, we decided to move our wedding out. I think it was like closer to the end of 2020 when we were like, oh, this thing isn't going away. So we decided to move our wedding to September 2021, which ended up being great. If you guys remember, May was like not a good time for Corona, May 2021, but September was like the perfect break, where everything was like on the upswing, numbers were going down, vaccines had been accessible. So I was like, oh, we really lucked out. But the problem was that the borders were still closed, and we had chosen our really good family friend who lived in London to marry us. And one of my bridesmaids also lived in London. Shout out Faye. So they were very much like hot and cold, you know, like, will we be able to come? Will we not be able to come? And finally, they were not able to come, which broke my heart. So, like, 2 weeks before my wedding, I'm like trying to find a new officiant. Like, I'm like thinking about how I won't have this extra bridesmaid, our numbers are no longer going to be even. Well, so I thought, like, it was very dramatic. People were having issues like with the vaccine because John's family is a little bit more conservative and like some anti-vaxxers over there. And so it was just like extremely dramatic. Like, I remember being like, why am I even having a wedding? Like, this is horrible. Like, it just took all the fun out of it because I was dealing with like, we don't want to get vaccinated, but we want to come, or we live here and now we can't come and we're really upset about that. And like all this stuff and like people just not wanting to travel. And like, it was actually crazy, like how many people just didn't come to our wedding, like at the very last minute, which
Mhm.
if you've
It's
ever planned a
always
wedding,
That's so surprising. It's jarring. You're like, "Oh, okay, these people are for sure coming," and then you're like, it's like you're taken aback, like, "Oh my gosh, you did not just do that to me." And it's like
yeah,
because and the people who do it, I feel like are if you have gone through the wedding planning process yourself and you do that, there's a special place in hell for you
oh
because
yeah,
like that's late
and
nights.
expensive.
Exactly. That's like
Like, we
someone
already
else's
paid for you.
and you know that there's other people that could have been in your place that they like had to
Mhm.
cross off the list that they wanted to invite and you just took one of their spots and didn't tell anyone. Like someone else could have been in their spot. Like
No,
yeah.
I like lost a friend over this. Well, I lost many friends over this, but one of my friends had moved to Miami like during the pandemic, and she wrote me literally like I think on Friday, and my wedding was on Saturday, and she was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, we just like can't make the trip. Like we're really worried about COVID, like all this stuff." And I was like, "Okay, I understand." And then like 2 days later, she's in the fucking Caribbean. And I was like, she's
No.
like posting pictures like in the Caribbean. And I was like, oh, okay. So you weren't worried about Corona actually. Like you just
X you
didn't
out.
want to come to my wedding. Like, but you're going to post about your little trip to the Caribbean. Like, okay.
Have you talked to her since?
Yeah, I wrote her and I was like, I'm actually really offended. Like, you didn't have to come to my wedding, but like, to drop out at like the last second and then go to the Caribbean instead on like a little vacation and like post that all over your Instagram is like, that's just
Crazy.
like mean, you know? Like,
Yeah, that's crazy. What did she say?
she said that like it was so close for them because they were in Miami and she was just so stressed and she really needed to get away. And I was like, that's the thing about COVID. People are going to do what they want to do.
Mhm.
But like have a little bit of respect and like don't tell the bride on the day of her like rehearsal, you know? Like
Yeah.
anyway, we had another issue as well. Oh, this is my favorite story. I've told you about this, but I'll tell everyone else. So John went through two best men. Um, and his first one was like his childhood friend who ended up not being able to come for reasons that we don't need to talk about on the podcast, but it was interesting. And then he chose his really good friend at the time who he worked with. And this friend is Australian. I think he was here on like a green card or a work visa or something, but like he was not a US citizen, which is very important to this story. So 2 weeks before our wedding, I check Instagram and he's in Spain. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like he's in Spain. Like the borders are legit closed. So like I don't understand why he's in Spain. And it wasn't like to visit a dying grandmother or anything. It was like just a vacation. So I was like, you know what? He must like know that like everything's gonna be fine. Like I won't worry about it. 5 days before our wedding, like that Monday, John gets a text from him that's like, hey man, I was heading back to California and because I'm not a US citizen, I have to quarantine for 2 weeks before I can come home. So we're now being rerouted to Mexico to sit there and quarantine for 2 weeks. So I'm not gonna be able to come to your wedding.
Idiot.
Idiot. And it wasn't even like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I really fucked up. It was like, can you believe how shitty that is? Like, yeah, that sucks. Just not gonna be able to come. I'm like, read the fucking rules. Like I knew that if you're not a US citizen, you can't leave the US and not quarantine for 2 weeks without coming like before coming back. Like
Yeah.
the way
So,
my blood boiled, like, oh my
mm,
God.
no, that's crazy. Do you think he understood, like, is it like a cultural thing that he doesn't understand, like, best man?
I'm pretty sure that's still a big thing in Australia.
Yeah, so he has, like, no absolutely excuse. Like,
Yeah,
he
no
knew
excuse.
he knew
And
the
it was just so heartbreaking to see John like this was his second friend who like couldn't show up for him.
no.
And it just broke my heart. And like we were having issues with like his family and vaccines and stuff, and I was just like, this poor guy, like no one's showing up for him, no one's like coming through to just be like, whatever you need, John. Like nobody gives a shit. Like it was just like heartbreaking, honestly. Ugh. He went through two best men. He ended up with my brother, who was a great best man, but that was also kind of sad because it was such a last minute thing. So obviously, my brother felt like, I don't know, like a, last
Yeah,
choice.
yeah. But, like, thank goodness that your brother stepped in, though, like, that's really sweet.
It was great. He was a great best man. He helped John get ready on the day. He had like a great speech. Yeah, it was unfortunate about these other two losers. But like
The best
I'm
for
happy that
last. Save the best for last.
exactly. Yeah. And then our numbers were even too because like Faye couldn't come
Yeah.
because the borders being closed. I don't think I'll ever get over that. He got over it. He was like, I'll be friends with him still. I just really want him to apologize. And then he never apologized.
No, no, he's dead. Like, what?
That's what I said. I was like, we're not friends. And then do you want to know something crazy? John proposed to me in Milos, Greece. And it was like so unique, so romantic. His ex best friend proposed to his girlfriend in Milos. And I was like, okay, get an original thought, dude. Like,
That's fan behavior.
it is fan behavior. I was like, you need to move on with your life. Like, we have forgotten about you.
Yeah, you've been Men in Blacked
Yeah.
from our lives. Who are you?
Goodbye. The week before my wedding was a freaking mess. Like, oh, we also had to find a new makeup person, or no, makeup or hair, I don't remember, because we found out they were an anti-vaxxer, and so they weren't vaxxed, and that was like a big rule for our wedding because like all our grandparents were going to be there and stuff, and they were frail, and I was like, we're having vaccines. You have to have a vaccine. And so we had to like find a new like makeup or hair person right away.
Yeah.
And it was just so stressful. And that's when I found out my coordinator sucked. And she just like wasn't coordinating. Um
She just was an uncoordinated coordinator.
Dude, she was late to the rehearsal dinner and like to the rehearsal like that she had to run, and then she was late to the wedding. Like she
Mine
was
was late as well.
what is up with that? I mean, it is your one job. Like your one job. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the week leading up was a nightmare. And I was like really questioning all my decisions. But by the time we made it to Friday, I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. Like people are gonna be here, like it's gonna be good. So we decided to do a pool party for our rehearsal instead of just doing like a boring dinner. And that was like so much fun because our venue had the most beautiful pool. I am so sad that you weren't there, Tori, that like we weren't like super good friends at this point. But we need to like go stay at my venue because it's like a bed and breakfast and it's lush, baby. It's lush.
Let's go. Let's go.
So yeah, they had this like beautiful pool and we had popsicle vendors. That was like really fun. And we had a bunch of like inflatables and like everyone was just like in the pool and taking photos and like it was so nice. We did the little rehearsal. That was stressful because our person was late. So my mom was like trying to manage it. It was very sad. And then we had a dinner like in the same part where we were going to have dinner the next night, which was like the barn, and it was so good. The food there, by the way, if you guys need to know, this is Park Winters in California. It's like right outside of like Davis, Sacramento area, to die for. It's run by two gay men who just know the vibe. Like they just get it. The food, fantastic. They cook on site. And it was just incredible. And so we had like the most amazing rehearsal dinner. Honestly, the rehearsal I think I liked more than the wedding because
Yeah.
it was just like chill and we just got to like run around and like be with everyone. And oh, we had a stroopwafel vendor, which is, if you guys know, we're Dutch. My family's Dutch. And they make these stroopwafels. People call them stroopwafels, unless you're Dutch. And they're like these little like waffles filled with like caramel. And I have so many pictures of my grandpa who just passed away, like eating these stroopwafels and just like having so much fun. It was great. It was so much fun. But so that night, John and I were like kind of saying our goodbyes. We were smoking a joint, having like our last unmarried joint. And we go to bed and I'm like saying goodnight to him. And I go to like my separate house and the doors were all locked. And I was like, oh my God, I've been locked out. It's the night before my wedding. Thankfully, I was like sharing a room with my maid of honor who happened to be awake. I was like so worried that she was already asleep. And she was able to like come down and like let me in. But I was like, oh my God, I've been locked out.
Oh my gosh. Imagine. What would you have done?
I'm like throwing pebbles at the windows. Rita!
So you have a boombox above your head.
Yeah, like, let me in. But yeah, I barely slept that night. I woke up the next morning and I was like nauseous and I had vertigo.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I like had someone go buy me Dramamine before realizing that Dramamine makes you tired, so I couldn't take it. So like I didn't have like any champagne, like I could barely eat. Like I think I was nervous in my own way. It's like I wasn't nervous to marry John. It's just like nervous to like have a whole spectacle, you know, like this thing you've been planning for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Got ready, hated my hair. I had that viral video of like how bad my hair was. And I couldn't do a trial because of my anti-vaxxer friend. And so they were like, you can change to a vaccinated person, but you can't do a trial. So everyone was like, you're dumb on social media. Like you should have done a trial. And I was like, okay, I was trying to choose safety.
Like it was COVID. I'm a COVID bride. Okay.
Yeah, like let it go. But yeah, I posted that video and people were like, oh my God, you're stronger than I. If I had that hair on my wedding, I wouldn't have even gotten married. And I was like,
How
okay, it
rude.
wasn't that bad. Like
That's so rude.
Isn't that so sad? I was like, oh, okay. Like, let me know what you really think. But yeah, the day was everything I touched was perfect. Everything my coordinator touched was not perfect.
Yeah.
She was like really bad, our coordinator. Like people were coming up to me and being like, your coordinator's just like sitting in a corner. Oh, and I'll out her. Her name's Stephanie Teague. Don't hire her. Because like she was like a recommended wedding coordinator from our venue. And I later found out you can like pay to be on that list. So I like wrote a whole review on the knot and she got it taken down. And the knot reached out to me and they were like, yeah, well, we need proof of this. And I'm like, how am I supposed to prove I was getting married? Like I wasn't like taking videos of her like sitting in the corner or like be showing up late to my wedding. So then I went on every other site and I posted my review. And I was like, you can't pay to have this taken down, bitch.
Also, that's crazy that the knot's like, we need proof. Like, what?
Do not trust the knot. Go on
Yeah.
Google and read those reviews if you're a bride. Because, yeah, don't trust the list that the venue gives you because they'll pay to be on that. Don't trust the knot. Trust Google. I was pissed. I actually, like, the day after our wedding, I was so mad. And my mom was so mad too. Because, like, the one thing I wanted was for my mom to just, like, not lift a finger.
Yeah.
And she ended up having to do so much because our coordinator was so lazy and just like was not doing her job. And then at the end of the night, they're all standing there like waiting for a tip. And my mom was like, I'm not fucking tipping you. Like, you sucked.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then also the DJ kind of sucked, which was John's like only job was to find the DJ. And our DJ ended up playing like so much Bruno Mars, which was not on our playlist that we spent like 2 years making for him to like show him what we liked. It wasn't on our do not play either, but like why there was so much Bruno Mars is beyond me. But yeah, I mean, it was great. Like John's vows were unbelievable. He like the entire audience was crying. I was like sobbing. Like, oh my gosh, when I started walking down the aisle, I just like lost it. I like lost
Aw.
my shit. And there's all these pictures where I look like I'm like throwing up because I'm just like crying so hard. Oh, and then we did a couple like special touches. Like my dad's band actually performed our first dance, which was really cute, like having that like performed live. And then also when I went to do the father-daughter dance, my dad had said that he had like a surprise song for me, so I didn't know what the song was. He wrote me a song and recorded it and played that for our father-daughter dance.
That's so sweet.
Like, can you believe that? So, like, all the pictures of us during the father daughter dance are me, like, looking like I'm gonna vom again because I'm crying so hard.
Oh, that's the sweetest thing, though. That is so sweet.
So sweet. Yeah, it was really nice. The food was exceptional, but they wouldn't let me go visit the buffet, which I was sad about. They were like, no, we got a plate for you. I was like, but I love buffets. I chose a buffet. Then we went on our honeymoon a couple days later and we went to Antigua and
Where is that?
it's in the Caribbean.
Oh, cool, cool.
Yeah, that was really nice. We stayed at like this beautiful, like all inclusive resort. I think it's called Kiana Resort, Keyonna, in Antigua. And it was really nice. And we had like our own little like private cabin cottage thing with like our own private plunge pool where we spent like every sunset, every night, our own like cabana on the beach. And there was this guy named Cloud. He was an Antiguan guy who would just like walk the beach every day and he would like come and talk to us and like try to sell us weed, which we bought, of course, but and then eventually he got mad at us because I was like, okay, Cloud, it's like you can't like visit us every day. Like this is my honeymoon, you know, like
Yeah,
I'll
we're
visit
like,
my husband.
yeah, yeah.
And he was like, oh, you do not like Cloud. And I was like, well, I like you, Cloud, but I'm on my honeymoon. Like, give us some space, you know? Yeah, that's kind of an overview of our crazy COVID wedding in September of 2021. Can't believe it's been almost 3 years, but it was still the best day of my life, even though we had like, you know, some weird stuff happen.
No, that sounds overall awesome. I feel like no wedding is unscathed, even like
Yeah.
the most lavish one, unless I feel like you're Sophia Richie, you know?
Oh, she had the perfect wedding.
Yeah, but also I think she probably had some catastrophes that she just didn't know about. Like, you know?
I'm sure. And I like everyone loses a friend
Yeah.
during a wedding planning process. And I don't think that changes just because you're a celebrity.
No. Oh gosh, okay.
Your turn.
Mine is like um
Not happy memories.
when it comes to Matt and I's wedding, eh, like whenever I even think about it, I'm not like, oh yeah, there were some bad parts, but overall great. I'm like, okay, I'll just get into it though.
Start at the
So
beginning.
yeah, start at the beginning. So we got engaged in 2019. 20
Oh,
Yeah, February 2019. We got married in 2019 just before
smart.
COVID. Yeah,
So
we
smart.
didn't know November 2019, end of November. We didn't mean to have like a short engagement. It was just we'd been together for like 6 years when we got engaged. So I was just like, okay, I'm ready to be
Hmm.
married. And not only that, but I don't know, we wanted to get married in October, like in the fall. So I didn't want to like have to wait another year cuz also it's Florida. So you don't want to get married really in the summer and I didn't want to get married in the winter. So that's where we're from. We're from Florida. So we went heavily into wedding planning and at first I was like, this is gonna be so much fun, like very naive. Like the people who say like wedding planning is like so fun and like it's the best time of your life. Like those you're being lied to. Lies. Like unless you are Sophia Richie, unless you just have a picture perfect family who everyone loves each other, close, tight knit, get along for the most part.
Which, if you do, like, can you tell us? Because I don't know if that exists.
Yeah. Unless you have like that or an endless amount of money. Those are two things required for like a perfect wedding, which I have neither of those. So the opposite even in one of those categories. But so we started wedding planning, got the budget from my dad, and my dad was very much so like, this is your thing. I don't want anything to do with it. I was doing everything like on my own, which is like fine. That's like my entire life story. I found this wedding planner situation that was Great and Beach Catering. Wedding ruiners. Don't ever use them. We decided to get married in 30A because that's like our favorite happy place area of the world, probably, but in very close to where we grew up. And it's just like, if you don't know, 30A is like this stretch of beach towns that are all like upscale. They each have their own vibes. And we got engaged in one of them. We end up deciding on that area. We narrowed it down to a venue. I was looking at venues before I even got engaged. Me and my best friend Samantha, we like went and looked at a venue like before I even got engaged when she was in town. She's
I
like, let's
love
just
that.
go look. She was like leading the charge on that. Anyways, so then I came across this caterer who was like, she's like, we're a one-stop shop. We do rentals, we do everything. We can even do a photographer and all that stuff. I was like, well, I kind of want to do like some other stuff. Like I want to do like floral separately and the photographer separately. But if you guys do like the rentals and catering and like all the permits and things like that, that's sounds great because we'd found the venue already. She was like, yeah, for sure. And I did not look at the reviews because I called her and I just like hit it off. We were on the phone for like 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, just trusted her.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We like get thick into the wedding planning process. Budgets are coming up. It's not like this is a collaborative effort with my dad. It's very much so like, here's the number. This is it. Like, it's not like, hey, this is costing this much. What do you think about this? Maybe we increase. Like, no, it's like very cut and dry. So I was talking to my wedding planning lady, and she was like, hey, I just want to let you know if you go ahead and pay all of it, then I can give you a discount. And I was like, oh, done. You know what I mean? So I went ahead and like paid everything. And so I was like, okay, that frees up like this amount of money and I'm going to do this with it, you know? Time went on and it was very close. It was like 9 days before everything's planned, everything's okay. So I thought, and then 9 days is whenever she called me and this whole traumatic thing happened. But 2 weeks before that, my dad calls me and is like, hey, like I just got a $10,000 charge over like the original charges. Like what happened? And I was like, oh, I don't know. He was like, I'm sure it's a mistake. It's not a big deal. Just like call her and like get it handled. So I call the lady and she's giving me the run around. No sense of urgency, is like, "Oh yeah, we just got a new system. I'm sure it's something with that." Like no sense of urgency, like not giving me straight answer. Like I'll fix it, and like reinvert like yeah, we'll see. Like and I was like, this is not good.
Oh
Like
no.
my dad gave her 2 weeks to fix it. He asked me one other time. I called her, same song and dance, and I was like, "This is not good." So he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna dispute it with, um, my Amex." Then so he did. She freaked out. After she freaked out, this was 9 days before the wedding. At that
Mhm.
point, and she told me that she wasn't sure if she was going to do my wedding 9 days before. And remembered, she's like the permits, she's the
Oh my god.
catering, she is the rentals. Like, she's everything besides the florist and the photographer, pretty much.
Oh my god.
And so this is 9 days before. So I'm like hysterical.
So you paid her earlier.
Yeah, I paid her everything
Oh my
earlier,
god.
up front for
That
24 hours goes by. She's not answering, not anything. So I go 24 hours without knowing if she's going to like do my wedding or anything. So I'm like scrambling. I'm like calling other people trying to figure out if they can like cater my wedding or
oh my god.
what. Yeah, it was so stressful, so traumatic.
Yeah, it was like so stressful because like Tori's dad was like, "You're gonna have to just go down there and get a check for the remainder of the money of everything you paid her, and then spend that money on all your other things." Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't you remember that?
Yeah, my dad was like, just go get the money back from her and spend it on your other things. I'm like, our wedding's in 8 days.
We're just like, is this even possible to one get the check from her in time, let alone book food, chairs, bartenders, a police officer because we had over 100 people.
So then she finally calls us back and decides that she's going to do it, our wedding, the next day, like after the 24 hours. So this is day 7 before our wedding. And she's like, I'm going to do it. At that point, I'm like, I don't even freaking want you to do it. But like, what choice do I have? Then we get the weather forecast. And it is not supposed to rain that time of year, really, in Florida. And I wanted a rooftop wedding, and our venue was supposed to be on this rooftop overlooking the like beautiful ocean on the white sand and like Alice Beach. And it's not supposed to rain 15 days after our wedding, but it is supposed to rain on our wedding only during the time that we're getting married. Not like that morning or anything, just like during our wedding. So we had to get a tent. So the tent was $5,000. $5,000 is like nothing to my father. He appreciates dollar bills, but it's like not anything to him, really. And he was like, I gave you your budget. Like, what are you gonna do? And I was like, yeah, but it's gonna rain now. And so we had to scramble and try to figure out a tent situation. And then at the last minute, my dad decided to pay for it, but not without like basically torturing me, like even up until like the rehearsal dinner, like calling me, taunting me, like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
That's so mean. But did it
And
end up raining on your wedding day?
monsooning.
I feel like it would have almost been worse if it was like we bought this tent and then it didn't even rain.
It didn't stop like that whole day. Even like it would like trickle some and then it would rain really hard again. But then guess what? It,
Wow.
it didn't rain 18 days after our wedding and it didn't rain like 18 days before our wedding.
That's so annoying.
Our
So
rehearsal dinner was really nice though.
yeah, well let's get to the good part though. I remember right before I walked into the rehearsal dinner, my dad told me that he bought the tent. And he was just like nice from then on out. I don't know what like clicked in his head. And the rehearsal dinner was so nice. It was at the Pearl. It's like our favorite boutique hotel. Everyone gave speeches that whole night, besides our like maid and matron of honor and our best man, but everyone else gave speeches. Actually, I'm pretty sure even they did just different speeches than they gave at our thing. We went around our tables. It was beautiful in there. Like we did a little cocktail hour. That hotel's like really special to us, so that was really cool. Also, then we were all like out in 30A after that, just like bouncing around at all
Oh,
like
so
the craft
fun.
cocktail bars and like going to different rooftops, and it was super fun. I remember after that, I was so stressed out and all of that that I couldn't even think about like packing the bag before the rehearsal dinner so that way I could just grab it and go to like the place where me and my bridesmaids were staying the night before the wedding, you know?
Mhm.
And so like after we were running around drinking, I had to like go back to the place where Matt was staying and pack all of my stuff together. And I remember Matt was so drunk after our rehearsal dinner because we were so stressed out that we were just like it just felt like such a relief, you know. I
Yeah.
tried to like pace myself, but even I was like, "Oh my god, thank God." Like, you know, you threw up.
I threw up in the bed
He threw up in the bed
that I was
Oh
sleeping in.
that he
no.
was like sleeping in the bed, and I remember I just see him. I'm like packing my bag, and he like threw.
Oh my God.
One of his groomsmen like picked him up and like took care. So then I pack my bag. We stay in this like beautiful condo. We get our hair and stuff done there the next morning. All my bridesmaids come. I did not like my hair. My makeup was great. My friend Natasha did it, but my like hair lady, like I did a trial with her. She never fully did my hair. She just curled it. And she like
Oh.
didn't do the picture. Like she just curled my hair and she's like, "Yeah, I can do that." And I'm like,
The curse of the wedding hair.
"Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, like but can you do it in this trial so I can see if I like it?" And when
Yeah.
she did my makeup, I didn't like it. Like it wasn't
Oh
like full enough
no.
coverage and things like that for me. Like I like it. And so whenever I didn't, but she was my friend, so I didn't want to like hurt her feelings. So I just told her that she could still do my hair, but that I was gonna have someone else do my makeup, and that like pissed her off. And then so she came and did my hair, but she was just like, you the energy. She was just like mad
Oh
already.
no.
And it's like to have that energy on your wedding day, especially after everything else that had like gone wrong, like really like was pissing me off. I was
Yeah.
like, you need to chill out. I've had enough things happen. So we get my hair, makeup done, is fine, whatever. My wedding coordinator does not show up. My friend Brianna has to like literally plan everything, set everything out, and like arrange the chairs, like all of that stuff. Right before I go out, I'm like asking the coordinator, I'm like, "Hey, what's it look like? Is it pretty out there?" And she said, "It looks fine." Right before I walk out, "It looks fine." So I'm like, "Fine. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you so much." So
Wow.
So then my friend Leah walks in and she's like, "Hey, I just want to see you." I was like, "Leah, I need you to go out there and make sure if anything doesn't look good, move it. Like make sure it
Oh
looks
my
good."
God.
Thank goodness we had a really amazing band. That was like something that Matt and I really wanted was like a live band. And so we had like a really good band because they I feel like saved the wedding and it ended up monsooning. Also, none of our decorations got put out because they were all set for like the furniture that was like supposed to be
Oh
on
my
the roof.
God.
And so even the florals and things like that were set for that kind of furniture, and we just had totally different stuff. I never got that like bride feeling where you like walk out and you see these things that you like
Yeah.
planned. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, that's sad. You guys need to do like a vow renewal
that's what I'm
in a couple
thinking.
years.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Actually, Matt and I realized that we'll be married 5 years, I think. Because we
2019?
yeah,
Oh my
in
God, 5
November.
years. That's a great vow renewal year.
Yeah, we should do it in Italy.
Cute.
If I could do it over again, and honestly, if and well, let me just say this about my wedding. It ended up being when I was getting my makeup done, I was like, everything's fine. We did beach yoga that morning. I was like, nothing can bring me down today. It's going to be fine. Lady doing my makeup or lady doing my hair is like having an attitude, whatever. Like, I don't even care. Nothing can bring me down. I'm going to have the best day no matter what. Like, I've been through so much. It's going to be fine. Everyone was tying their dresses up, taking their shoes off, dancing in the rain. Like, the band was amazing. The food was wedding food. It was good. It
Yeah,
wasn't like bad.
fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun, and so many people have told me that was, like, their favorite wedding that they've been to
Oh,
because
wow.
of, like, the rain and the music and, like
Magical.
yeah, and it was very, like, ethereal. We had a DJ that came after the band was done. We had a late night snack. We had, like, pizza
Oh, I
come
love that.
as our late night snack, and we had, like, fun, like, party favorite things. It was a fun time. It was fun, but
That's the stuff you got to focus on. When you like look back, you need to think about those fun times because stuff always goes wrong.
And you
but
lost
that
your
was
wedding dress.
oh, and then I accidentally lost my wedding dress. I think I left it in the condo that we stayed in, and we
Oh
left, and I thought it
no.
was in my car that next
Oh
day.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh, someone up there was against you.
I know, I
Oh,
know.
no.
But the important thing is I'm married.
Yeah, that's the important thing. Oh
But
my
I'm not
gosh.
gonna lie, when it would rain for like a good year or two, I would like think about my wedding every time and it would make me
Guilty.
mad. I'm not kidding. I'd be like, "Mm, fuck the rain." Like
Oh
every time it would
no.
rain, it would just make me mad. And also
You're a good
driving by
woman though.
yeah. Oh, I know. I think I heard that about a time or a million. Every time someone would say that to me, I kept being like, "Not in this case." At least I got to have a wedding perspective. Like there's so many people who don't get any of that and these are all first world problems. So I like to try to look
Mhm.
at it like that.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
It's so true. Poor thing.
But it was
Oh.
so fun too. I don't know. It's just I need to go to therapy probably.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope you guys had so much fun listening to our dramatic ass wedding stories.
Yeah, maybe I should have went first and we should have ended on the happy note.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, you guys know where you can find us. Internet Girls Pod. That's girls with a Z. You can watch us on YouTube. You can find us all over the socials. And you can follow me, Hannah Lee Lifestyle, or Tori Sunshine, 2 R's than an I.
Thank you for listening and providing the space for me to trauma dump, basically.
Yeah, a little therapy session for Tori. And we're going to
And
be planning your vow renewal.
yeah, planning vow renewal. Drop your ideas down below.
All right,
Mhm.
you guys. And with that, Internet Girls are